Hey guys, my name is Z and you're watching Yi Makes It Easy. And today we have lesson 3 of the theme population, which is underpopulation and overpopulation, which includes 2 case studies which we will look into it later. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to describe the causes of overpopulation and underpopulation. And here's the difference between underpopulation and overpopulation. Underpopulation is where there are too few people living in a country to use all of the resources of a country to its maximum efficiency. And overpopulation is where there are too many people to be supported to a good standard of living by the resources of the country, meaning that the carrying capacity of the country is exceeded. And underpopulation is not necessarily low population, and overpopulation is not necessarily high population, because under and overpopulation have to do with the resources in the country. And here we have the population resources equation. It says that if the population increases, the resources will decrease because it's inversely proportional of the two variables. And moving on, we have the first case study, which is Australia. And Australia is an example of an underpopulated country. So we have 3 different headings. Number 1 is reasons why Australia is rich. Number 2 is reasons why Australia has such a low population. And number 3 is the consequences of this underpopulation. I won't read everything, but I will just pick up some key facts. And Australia has a great potential for renewable energy, like wind and solar energy. And Australia is close in proximity to the global demand centers in Asia. And it gives Australia an advantage of strategic economies of scale. And because of all the infrastructures like sewage, water, and electricity are already there, like a head start for them. And reasons why Australia has such a low population is that they have a very good healthcare, and Australia is very sparsely populated at 3 people per kilometer square, and Australia has some of the poorest soil in the world compared to countries in Europe and Asia. And the consequences of this underpopulation is that there's a small labor force of only 11.6 million people, and there will be a lower per capita income. And there will be a heavy pressure on transport and education as the needs of people increase and the government doesn't have much money, meaning it can't control and develop the means of communication and transportation. And food shortage will be a problem, as well as there will be not enough workers to exploit natural resources of farming, making the economy go weaker and less fun. And as there are fewer people, there will be little unemployment rate and people earning higher wages. So just take a look for this for a few seconds and we'll move on to the next case study in a minute. So moving on to the second case study, which is Bangladesh, and which is an example of an overpopulated country. And here we have 4 headings: reasons why Bangladesh is poor, reasons why Bangladesh has such a large population, the consequences of this overpopulation, as well as solutions to this overpopulation. So number 1, why Bangladesh is poor. The country has few natural resources, and there's an intense competition for the available resources in Bangladesh. And regular natural disasters like cyclones and floods cause a loss of life and destroy infrastructure. And around 8,000 hectares of cultivable land are lost every year due to urbanization. And reasons why Bangladesh has such a large population is that contraception is frowned upon in the Islamic world, and 85% of people in Bangladesh are Muslim. Number 2, Bangladeshi people are uneducated, and they don't know where babies come from, therefore lacking that understanding of if they need contraceptives or not. And number 3 is that Bangladeshi do not feel the problem of the dense population, so for families continue to have 8 to 11 children in the family, and in a rare case, people only have 1 to 2 children. And the consequences of this overpopulation is that there's not enough school and hospitals, which means that there's a relatively high death rate at 5.7 per 1,000 per year. And there's a high rate of emigration, which is people moving out migration, as we talked about in our last lesson. And there will also be an elevated crime rate as people have lack of resources and basic necessities. And there will be also a depletion of natural resources as Bangladeshi people are competing to get natural resources. And solution to this overpopulation is that they can improve their literacy rate by building more schools. and Bangladesh government could limit the number of children Bangladeshi people can have, like the one-child policy in China. And people can educate the Bangladeshi kids or children with sex education and talk about safe sex, and the more they know about it, the less they are going to have unplanned pregnancies. So moving on to the last part of the lesson, the plenary. Overpopulation is when the population of a country is too high to be supported by the resources of a country, for example Bangladesh. And underpopulation is when there are not enough people in a country to use all of the resources of that country to its maximum efficiency, for example Australia. And countries that suffer from overpopulation tend to have a high unemployment and therefore a high emigration rate. And countries that suffer from an underpopulation tend to not have enough workforce and therefore encourage immigration, like Australia. And that's it for this lesson 3 of the theme population. I'll see you guys in the next lesson, which is lesson 4. Stay safe and peace.